We've all seen videos where theists assume the position of certain non-believers, and I always think it would be easier to just ask them what their point of view is, rather than make assumptions. So when a theist has actual questions for atheists, I like to give them an answer. It just makes for much easier conversations in the future. Hello, I'm TheSkepTick. I watch videos on YouTube that make extraordinary claims, whether that's flat earth or strange conspiracies, but mostly the claim that a god is real, and then explain why I can't accept their position. Before we get into today's video, please do subscribe, hit that bell notification to be alerted for my next video, and drop a like. That would be incredible. In this atheist response video, Just Ashley Keaton has 10 questions for atheists in 2022. I'm not sure how the questions could be relevant to the year, unless of course one of them is, do you believe the rapture will happen in 2022? No, I don't. I'm not convinced there will ever be a biblical rapture. As always, the link to the original video is in the description.
What's going on, guys? This is Ashley Keaton, reporting for duty in the flesh. How art thou? I have 10 questions for atheists, agnostics, and people who believe in a higher power but don't, for some reason, want to call it God.
Oh, great. I'm definitely one of those.
Here we go. First question. Does objective evil exist? I'm just waiting on you to answer the question.
Does objective evil exist? It's a difficult one to answer without definitions. You'd have to be careful that there isn't a subjective emotional reason to be against the objective evil proposition. It would be better for you to define what objective evil is to you, and then I can agree or disagree that whatever it is you're defining exists or not.
Number 2. Can you define objective evil for me?
Wouldn't it have been better to have made this question 1? I'm not in a position to define objective evil, as I'm not the one claiming it does or doesn't exist. That's like you saying, do you believe in dirt-eating munchkins? Me answering, I don't know, and then you asking me to define dirt-eating munchkins anyway. If you want to know my position on something, define it for me first, rather than trying to catch someone out.
Number 3, and this one's my favorite. Have you ever honestly tried Jesus? He's all right. We're not talking about the biblical text or Christian. Have you ever tried God out sincerely? And I'm not assuming that you haven't. I just want to hear different answers on this to see who has really tried Jesus out.
I can't say I've ever tried Jesus. I grew up in a fairly non-religious house and was only told things about the Christian Bible at school. I never really took it as anything other than stories, so I always grew up thinking Jesus was a fictional character. However, when I did need it, I appealed to a higher power, although I'm not entirely sure what that higher power was. Then I found out that the reason I'd never really learned about God at home was because my mother and her mother were largely spiritualist. When I went down the route of learning more about spiritualists and wanting to become a medium, I discovered lots of things about beliefs and what was and wasn't acceptable.
Number 4. What would be, in your view, a better explanation for how the world came to be about? The Big Bang? Or God? What makes the most sense? Logically, consistently, theoretically, cosmologically.
Throwing words out like that doesn't change the answer. The Big Bang Theory, which may or may not be better described as the Big Bounce, gives the most interesting and well-reasoned explanation for how the universe came to be. But you asked about the world. After a few billion years of the universe being around, and I say a few, but I mean like 13 billion years, gases and dust finally succumbed to a gravitational pull around our sun and formed the Earth. There is at least good evidence to support Big Bang Theory. If it wasn't the Big Bang, the automatic next answer isn't a god. It could have been anything if that was the case. But if the only two options are Big Bang Theory and a god, and I have to choose...
What makes the most sense?
Big Bang Theory.
Logically.
Big Bang Theory.
Consistently.
Because this would suggest more than once, neither. I don't know.
Theoretically.
This is a bit of a silly one because you may be suggesting that theoretically the world doesn't exist, and who knows, maybe none of this exists, I don't know.
Cosmologically.
Oh, I know this one. Big Bang Theory.
Number 5. Is believing in God an inconsistent view, or do you just not like it?
I'm not entirely sure what's being asked here. It's almost like two questions. Is believing in a God inconsistent? I don't know. People believe consistently. Does that make their belief true? I'm not sure. If they could point to some evidence of a God that convinced me, then maybe we're onto something. Do I just not like belief in a God? Again, strange. I like to believe in things that are true and demonstrable. Does that answer the very, very strange questions?
Number 6, do all humans understand morality the same way, and some just choose to act against that good morality?
You'd have to define morality first to know how to even start off this answer. But let's just assume we have the same definition of morality, that being what contributes to the well-being of the human species. I'd say yes, since we know that sociopaths are a thing. But also, people can be brainwashed into doing bad things. Just look at certain cults.
And number 7, how can we know who is right? How can we possibly know who has the correct answer?
This is easy. I know I'm right, but hold on, let me explain. I know I'm right when I say I'm not convinced because I know what convinces me. But that's it. It sounds as though you're taking the standpoint that non-believers are asserting that there is no God. Maybe there are some that do that. But are you right? I'm not convinced of that, though I'm not saying you're wrong. You're making a claim that there is something, and I'm asking you to show me with evidence. Until then, I'll say I'm not convinced, but that I am right in my assertion that I'm not convinced.
Number 8, and I know the answer to this question, but I want to know your answer. Does the Bible speak for every person who calls themselves a Christian? Let me explain. You have certain people that act ungodly, in my view, and do some things that I would say God never told them to do. That say they're Christian, that believe in the Bible. There was actually something brought up the last time I did 10 Questions for Atheists, and someone responded, and they said that a lot of Christians worked with Hitler, and, a lot of Catholics, and those are not Christians. But that's my view. What would you say? Let me calm down. Does the Bible speak for every single Christian? Does every Christian represent the Bible?
Before we even get to the point where I say I don't care if the Bible speaks for Christians, this would be a better question for them. I don't care if the Bible does or doesn't speak for them, or if they interpret the Bible in certain ways, since it's never been demonstrated that the Bible is actually the word of a God, other than the book saying it is the word of a God, which shouldn't be how you reach the conclusion that it is. And that's coming from a floating circle. Since it's not been demonstrated, why should we even care what it says? How people use a book to guide how they live their lives is up to them. Is that right or wrong? I guess that depends on the actions they're taking. But there are other, better books that don't suggest owning people or killing people of specific sexualities.
9. Is murder against the innocent wrong? And why? You could turn all of these questions to me, and I don't mind giving my answer. But please do not dismiss the question.
Why would you single out the innocent here? Murder by definition is wrong. The unlawful killing of someone is wrong. The wrongful killing of people, innocent or not, is wrong. I'm not sure if that was a trick question.
Number 10, what is your confirmation and foundation for truth?
Reliability in the examination and re-examination of what it is that's being suggested. Basically, can you see that X is true by observing that X is true in reality over and over? At least that's one way.
All right, guys, those are my 10 questions. Have fun. I'm so excited to see the answers that you come up with. I tell you, I'm thrilled. And most importantly, God bless y'all.
Which one? Seriously though, I'm not sure what all of those questions had to do with being an atheist. Not one answer got us any closer to knowing if there is or isn't a God. But it's still good to get out there where folks stand. How would you have answered these questions? Let me know in the section below. I'm going to skeptic these questions as answered, though not getting us any closer to a God existing. Thanks to all those folks that have joined me so far on Patreon. Second tier and above perks will start to be rolled out as of February. Feel free to become a tick of some sort. The link is in the description. And don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. From me, the Skeptic, stay safe, keep thinking logically and ask questions. Skepticism is the first step towards truth. See you next Saturday.